everybody here. Brady from BGWX, and we are live breaking down the snow that's happening tonight into tomorrow morning. And let's see, I should pull up my snow map as well, which we'll do that. We'll look into that first. But again, not my traditional setup, but we're keeping it. All right, let's get to see the studio side from my perspective. Not that there's anything too special about it. Just here and add the thumbnail in, which two birds, one stone is the snow map. And that file is bigger than two. That's unfortunate. So, repeat thumbnail from last night. So, if you see, that's why. See, this is the stuff I have to deal with on the fly here that you wouldn't expect to happen, but does. And you have to go on the fly. So, some people will think like a thumbnail, oh, you're trying to... No, there's nothing crazy to it. All right, let's pull up the chat here. Michael Phillips, how are we doing, my man? Glad to have you back in the live stream. All right, well, let's go to X. Let's also get the X chat going here. So again, we're streaming live on YouTube and X. Pull that up. All right. And we got our setup going, so let's get the profile. There we go. We'll dive into it pretty quickly here. No need to waste time or anything. I thought I pinned my post. Maybe I didn't. All right. All right. If you do hear a noise in the background, it is just my puppy doing something. Right now he's sleeping, but anybody's had a puppy before, you know that can change fast. So. All right. Let's take a peek at my snow map, and I'll explain. I already have some questions from people. Concerns, comments, whatever, etc., what may have you. Let's break it down. Why did I put what I put? And let's get our pen tool up as well. First of all, if you look at the fine print, it does include. It's not no shtick. This is the same map I made last night. I'm just adding to it and updating some of my thoughts. That's really it. It's not like some new snow map. That's why it says updated snow map, snowfall threat map. It's not an official snow map. It's just a threat map. I'm not gonna lie. I did not have the guts to go out and make specific number ranges exactly for this one, but I would say, right, this whole area here, I think, has a good shot to see accumulating snow. A lot of this area already has over the last night, but to see, at least like a couple inches of snow. I think a lot of this area does. I think there's a pretty decent shot that a lot of this area could, at least see, 1 to 3 inches of snow tonight. And that's why, and then the best chance of 3+. So within that, this is a better chance of seeing 3+ inches of snow. And then within this region, the same thing. I think this area would be, a lot of potentially, 2 to 5, 3 to 6+ inches of snow within this area. And it's the best chance for there to be 5+ inches. And I wouldn't even be shocked. Elevation will help. The places that are under the best banding with elevation will do better with ratios, but it's not elevation dependent. This is not. There are some. If you scroll through my Twitter, Michael, you will be able to see pics of my puppy, but I can pull it up after too. But I posted a video last night on X as well of Tatum's first time taking the snow. He decided to photobomb it by going number two. Luckily, it was dark, so it wasn't able to be seen quite like that. But again, this is why I have what I have. It's not elevation driven, this event. Okay, so this is it's happening later at night into the early morning is the timing, which is close to perfect to be able to maximize your snow potential here. So it's a little bit different than your typical April snow event. Last night's different. It was more elevation you had, definitely made a significant difference on whether or not you snowed and whether or not or how good your ratios are as well. This time, your ratios will be definitely improved a little bit with elevation, but it does not guarantee you. It's not the driver. It's not the single driver whether or not you're going to be all snow or not. It really has to do with the exact placement of the precip and how dynamic cooling is actually going to take over. Because your warm nose is not at the surface. That's your thing. So let's take a look. What do I mean by that? So this is my snowfall threat map. I will just post it. It's an updated snowfall threat map from last night. It includes last. Well, first, Michael requested a puppy pick. I don't think it will be too hard to find. Puppy video. See, this is what I made last night. I just extended it a little bit. I said I would extend it. Is what I ended up saying later last night is what I would extend it. So I extended it, the area, and I also, highlighted another area within that. Well, take a look. Last night was doing pretty well with the snow, and take a look. That is my puppy right there. There we go. There is my new puppy. Meet Tatum, everybody. That is. Does he show up at the end again? Maybe. Maybe not. But there's a little view. If you go a little bit further, I have better pictures. But that's him right before he decided he was gonna photobomb by going number two. So yeah, so that is my Tatum. Yes, very cute. We'll leave the snow threat map up. Hoping to see accumulation in Manchester, New Hampshire. Man, we had nothing last night. Oddly, it was more so to do with location of the precip. Kind of some overrunning precip getting out ahead of the main show that's happening tonight. So it really wasn't because typically further north you go in April, it's the more snow. But not the case for we're gonna go to tidbits because we're gonna look at soundings. I'm gonna show you what I'm talking about because boy, I started looking at those soundings last night and even during the stream, and man, I mean that some of these soundings, man, were off the charts. And you can already see, I mean, a lot of places sleeting right now, but HR can sometimes have a little bit of a cold bias, so I'm not sure how much we'll get all the way. But I mean, if I were to show you this, you would think, is this January or is it April? Like, right? It's and I don't want to lean in it too much because it does snow in April. Is it rare? Absolutely, but it's not some impossible occurrence by any means. So I don't want it to get blown out of proportion. But so a lot of sleet and rain going on right now. And then let's take a look. I want to pull up Weather Bell actually as well and show you what's happening under the hood first before we look at those soundings because I think this is a fascinating meteorological event. And the reason why my map looks like this, again, it's a snowfall threat map. It's not, don't take it literally. This does not mean everywhere in here will be 5+ inches, everywhere here 3+. I didn't want to do that. I didn't feel confident enough to be able to do that quite so. Maybe I'll regret it, not testing myself more, but I don't want to do you guys a disservice, coming onto the system only just like a couple days ago, really. I didn't want to do you guys really a disservice with that because not my best, not wasn't my best. It's just not my longest effort. So in terms of this, but again, this is where I think the best chance of is people can see snow outside of this area too. There could be snow a coating to an inch or two into some of these areas as well. So I can't rule that out even. I can't even rule out some flakes mixing into New York City possibly. I can't rule out some accumulating snow down into here as well into North Jersey. But this is where I just think the best areas are in line for tonight. Let's go back to Weather Bell here. My voice is a little tired, so make sure we hydrate during this. But let's go show you HRR, and we'll go to. See, I was a little skeptical last night. Longer range HRR, you guys know I'm a little bit skeptical of, but the M3K soundings were not working that well. And they're still not. Something sketchy's going on. Upper air, let's go to 500, and let's actually zoom out a little bit more again. And again, take a look. I mean, this is also, here's my hot take. You want to, I know you guys don't care for them too much. You just want the weather analysis, but my hot take is I don't care. It's not January, February. I'm glad to see snow whenever it comes in what form. There's no mystical change you can do. We had tons of opportunities. For anybody that was closely following winter, there were so many just near misses. And I know you guys don't care about that near misses. You only care about what happens in your backyard. I understand there are so many near misses where we almost had. You could go back to December. I mean, we had, even some storms that ended up, like getting the total still for not necessarily the reasons we thought, or like verified on the lower end. And they happened, but they were this close to maybe being a boom scenario, right? So there was a lot of events this winter to happen, right? That ended up making it so that snowfall wise, um, it was not an above average winter for a lot of the Northeast. In the Mid Atlantic, it was. Um, but for a lot of the Northeast, it was not. Ski country ended up making out pretty well. Maine has actually gotten some events here over the past few weeks here, and they've made out pretty decent into New Hampshire now. So they kind of stacked it up a little bit more. But, Southern New England, Hudson Valley, North Jersey, New York City, Long Island, even a lot of PA, Central Jersey, I would say. Well, it just how the card, just how the cookie crumbles, right? It's just those are the cards that were dealt to us. That's just what happened. I don't think it really was that bad of a winter. We just didn't really get the big storm, in my opinion. So that's my hot take. It's fine. It's not January. It's April. Accept it. Enjoy the fun that's going to happen. But take a look here at 500. So sorry for my little rant, but that's just my hot take. It's not doesn't matter too much. Whatever. If you want it in February, then that's your opinion. But that's my opinion is I don't care when it happens. I'm just excited for when it happens, and this happening is exciting to me. Take a look at 500. I'm going to zoom out a little bit more to United States. Look at this big. I mean, this big western ridge, massive. And then take a look here, big dig here at 500 millibars we were talking about last night, but it's just very disorganized. So otherwise, this could maybe be an all-out blizzard potentially. We could have been talking about if we really saw a consolidation of an upper level low more, um, depending on the exact placement of the upper level low, that would have defined everything. Further inland, then all of a sudden it turns into an interior. And I think that would have been the last straw for some people that didn't get as much as they wanted to for complaining on X maybe, but that's beside the point. Here on 500, take a look, and this is where you were looking at 500. This is kind of where your upper level low is. So then we look to the north of this area here where 500 millibars is. Even if disorganized, that's kind of the head of your upper level low. Um, and it's just a big dip. I mean, take a look. I mean, it's going to get cold into Florida tonight and tomorrow night as well, by the way. Colder than usual for sure. Big dip. I mean, into the Gulf of Mexico, our 500 millibar Vort energy is going to. Just very big dig, very big, deep jet stream right there that goes down. And then what that does is it fuels up this warm air and moisture that gets brought up the coast of the Atlantic, going sourcing down from the Gulf of Mexico, right? That's why the deeper the trough is always the better for snow. Not all it doesn't always mean it's more snow in a certain scenario. I would use like December 2020 as an example. Even though that trough did it did dig a lot, it wasn't as large. When you have such a large trough that can transport a large digging trough, I should specify as that can transport moisture all the way up here. See all of these dynamics that are leading into the head of the 500 millibar. And so this is actually not, even though 500 millibar is driving, always driving the setup, this is actually going to be more mid-level driven. And take a look what's happening here is these 700 millibar dynamics are going to start consolidating, and we are going to see a big time band set up here across. And this is why I'm looking at potentially this area right here is where I'm kind of looking at potentially for the heaviest snowfall totals. And if you look where that correlates, I don't think it's a shocker. That's why I have that there. And so I'm looking at this area at 700, and it is juicy, man. Take a look. And then once it kind of stalls out and there's nothing more left to give in the low pressure, you see we close off here at 700. Once we do that, and it's so disorganized, so there's not more, upper level energy. If we go back to 500, that's pumping into the system for it to kind of keep going. It's still pretty disorganized. And it's going to take a while for all of this to kind of come through. So it could be messy, even a little rainy potentially after for days. Um, but the magic's happening tonight into tomorrow morning. And I mean, this is going to be this is a messy progression. What I mean by that is it will be hard to predict exactly where the heaviest of the heaviest comes. And this is why I take a look at 700, right? This is 700 coming together, and look at these height dams, meaning how strong, the vorticity values are here on at 700 millibar. And I mean, and those are where you look at this, you look at that, and that's a real strong band of snow that's coming together right there. And I mean, it's classic. It is classic death band setup here. And when this comes through, then we see dynamic cooling happen, and this is where we start talking about the soundings. So this is where it starts playing a part, right? This band starts coming together here. Um, All right, this is about 6 a.m., I think, 7, 8 a.m. You can see, time it back up here. Yep, 6. You can see here, let's take a look at these soundings. I mean, look at this. Look at these soundings. They are like nuclear soundings. I mean, I saw some minus 12 omega soundings last night. Just absolutely absurd. Like that. Those are very high values, meaning there is a ton of lift in the atmosphere to help support heavy snowfall rates. Right, this is your lift here in the atmosphere, and when you have this much rising air, right, this much lift working to help support, yeah, right, help in part thanks to our thermal gradient that's present here. Take a look at the change in temperature throughout the column, right? This is a 3D column of the atmosphere, a vertical column. Um, and it's this spot and location here. I take it from Central Mass. I take it biased at heart to take Central Mass soundings. I'm sorry for that, but so this is the bottom of the atmosphere. This is where we live, and this is the top of the atmosphere. And so take a look at that change. And the red line is temperature. So take a look at that change in temperature, that thermal gradient we see here. In those 700 millibar dynamics there, we saw very strong, help to create this lift present throughout the column here, not just in the dendritic growth zone. And I mean, very well saturated, slightly dry at the top, but very well saturated. Dew point depression, less than a degree Celsius right there. So at the top, so that is very minor, very well saturated here. And yes, this is going to be a wetter snow, but remember, I said I'm gonna listen. Yeah, listen. I had a loss in family. We had new puppy, so I apologize for a little bit of delay. We are still going to do a dendritic growth zone breakdown. Well, I know we do it a lot, but there's going to be a specific video, and maybe we'll use this as an example here, depending on the result of what happens. But the reason why my snowfall map looks like this, and why I think like we could be talking about 3 to 6, 4 to 8 plus inches, like widespread in some of these areas, is because it's the soundings. It's what it's not nothing to do. I wasn't expecting myself to making this. I have no anticipation, and this is just what's reflective of what I'm seeing here. Take a look at these soundings. I mean, this is -4, -1 omega is usually around that heavy snow benchmark. It's different depending on the temperature, and And we could go way into depth on why that's the case. We won't save you the time, but take a look. Typically 500 to 600 millibars is average, and it's April, and take a look where it is. It's just below 500 millibars to about 625 millibars here, just below 600 millibars. This is around average. Yeah, that's typically what you would see for 10 to 1 snowfall. And when you have this much lift, and yes, there's this warm nose present. So this is going to help kind of lower those ratios in a non-beneficial way for snowfall totals here. But or when you have such lift present, well saturated in your dendritic growth zone here, which is where your snowfall production zone is. This is where I'm looking right here. And this is where I look at. There's a ton of lift. I mean, -4 plus omega, -5 omega, that lift in the atmosphere. Very, very. I mean, we talk about -1 as heavy, -5, -4, -5, even -6 we saw in some soundings, and even higher. That is very, very heavy snowfall potentially. 1 to 2 plus inch per hour rates, very likely late tonight into early tomorrow morning. This is, I mean, just there are some classic soundings here for heavy snow. I mean, again, -2, even past that, -3. And again, here's your 0 degree line. Yes, you cross your 33 at the surface, but even if this crosses just a little, just barely, ever so slightly, dynamic cooling likely takes place and prevents you from being sleet. Again, well saturated. I mean, these are just classic heavy snow soundings. There's no other way to put it. Um, we'll go to another one here in New York. Even that -1 omega, very well saturated. That's a classic heavy snow sounding. Probably 3/4 to an inch per hour snowfall rates there. Look at that, -2, -3 omega there. Very well saturated. And again, though, those areas that aren't under the heavy precip, it's not, it's not right. Take a look at the soundings here. There's no heavy precip out here in Northeast PA, and look at that. It's likely just plain rain, maybe mixing in with some snow. Just cold rain, right? Dynamic cooling at the even elevation, right? So this is why I'm saying it's not elevation dependent. This is elevation here in northeastern PA. Lots of elevation, probably at least 1,000 feet of elevation. And notice there's not as much lift present in the atmosphere. So that colder air aloft from the heavier precip gets brought down. But if there's no heavier precip to bring it down, then we're not going to see heavy snow. And instead, you're just going to see probably light to moderate cold rain mixing in with wet snowflakes. And some people could even sleet tonight as well if the warm nose is so strong. But I mean, I would bet on dynamic cooling working its magic more, for so that less people do not see sleet and more people see rain or snow. Sorry, but again, my point is, or let me pivot. Actually, what I was going to say is here's the NAM 3K showing it a little bit further west, but NAM 3K has like to gone a little overdue the cyclogenesis it is known for doing. And it usually these things evolve a little bit later. So 700 millibar FGen would be stronger and further west and um, more inland. I don't think it likely develops. That just hasn't happened a lot with this winter, and models have kind of missed out a little bit this winter on that aspect. So, but take a sounding here on the NAM 3K, and actually not a great sounding with omega in the dendritic growth zone there, but I'm curious. Let me take a Connecticut sounding here. That's close, but I'd say not a lot of snow in the dendritic growth zone. Go to Hudson Valley here. There we go. Take a look there. Yep, that's a classic snow sounding, even though you're 34 at the surface. Well saturated here. It's a solid sounding for heavy snow. Like some of those NAM soundings last night, the ones I could take, it was kind of hard to take them, but they're pretty supportive. Now that might be sleet. That's a stronger warm nose, but still probably mixing in some snow if I had to guess. Weather Channel app has me 5 inches in the next 6 hours. I'm in Wyoming Valley, Northeast PA. Luzerne Valley not happening. Only way it happens for me is if it hugs closer and intensifies before it hits central Jersey. Yeah, the thing with this is it's real boomer bust. It's real boomer bust because if it's not like where if in a more typical snowstorm, right? This is the April factor, and it's not like you're moderate snow still, and you can still like have a floor. It's like no, it's like you're either heavy snowing likely, moderate to heavy snowing, or light rain. So with some mixed snowflakes or sleet pellets. There's no in between. That's why it's a tricky forecast. But again, these are my rough thoughts. I think High Point has a good shot tonight because their elevation will help with ratios. Again, it's not elevation dependent. And that's what I was going to talk about. Here's why it's not elevation dependent. When we were talking about that warm nose, take a look where your warm nose is. We can find it's fine to use the NAM here. It's from about 750 to 850 is where your warm nose is, right? Nobody lives 750 millibars to 850 millibars really in. Maybe if you, maybe some people do in the highest elevations. I have to calculate what that is again. I don't remember how far that is off the top of my head, but point is, set right 750 850 millibars. Nobody in this area here and is living up there in the atmosphere. Mount Washington's the closest. Mount Mansfield, Mount Washington are the closest probably. Like nobody's living there. So your warm nose is here. This is why it's not elevation dependent on whether or not you see snow. Now your snowfall ratios, I will say that can make a difference. So you see how it comes back a little bit towards the surface at the end. So if you're, 29, 28 degrees, or if you were like, if you're 30 to 31 degrees versus being 34, you can have a little bit better ratios. Less time for that snowflake, to try to warm at the surface. But there's a lot of, this was a very interesting event here, and there's a lot of meteorological factors that, support why, I kind of, made what I made there. And here's the FV3 going absolutely absurd. FV3 wants to get lots of Eastern Mass involved here. Apparently, the sounding doesn't look as good. It's the FV3 here. There you go. There's your magical dry slot, though, on the FV3. I don't really know what to make of this model sometimes. It's tricky. Tricky. RGM, we'll use high-res RGM. Why not? High-res RGM shows the death band as well. Right, and since it's rather disorganized, it just keeps going kind of, and then after, it's rain. See what I mean? It's not like your typical snowstorm. It's a quick hitter, man. It could be like 3 to 6 hours of heavy snow, and then all of a sudden, it just stacks up. But you do the math. If you're an inch per hour for 4 hours, you get 4 inches of snow on average. So it's not hard to put 2 and 2 together. Dude, if New Hampshire sees 2+ inches, I'm calling you the GOAT. Local dudes are calling this a coating to an inch, and I find that hard to believe. Now, Here's the one thing that that gives me some problems with, and it's more so this specific part right here, this area. It's 700 millibar. You see how it's still kind of developing. So for you, Bobby, you see how it's still kind of developing, and it's more well put together. How the 700 millibar low, you are rather displaced. That's why I don't extend it all the way up into Maine here, because look at 700 millibars, how displaced it is. Now it is still coming together off the coast there, so maybe tomorrow night in up here into Maine, maybe could get something depending on 700 millibar organization. But that's a tricky. That'll be a tricky thing to forecast. I mean, the specifics of 700 millibar banding. I mean, you can take a look here. It's tricky. You can see HRR kind of in reverse here had it further west, that banding, and then look at it now coming together later and later and later, right on the fly here, just as we saw with most other storms this winter. So it's listen, it's very tricky, and also some people may not even wake up and see the best of the snow happen. So again, if you see 2 or 3 inches, that's not going to melt right away. But if you only see like an inch and a half of snow, and let's say you're sleeping it off because you had a fun Friday night, it's not, and you wake up at like 11, or you may be bare grass and raining. So it's tricky. But take a look at 700 here. This is what is so intriguing. Your 700 millibar low again, driving off here, but north of your 700 millibar low, you see your deformation band kind of start setting up off of where your 700 millibar low closes off, and this starts coming together. And man, I really think this band could work some magic. You take a look at 850 too. I mean, 850 is pretty well put together. That's a pretty well 850 millibar organization right there. That's a pretty decent 700 millibar organization as well there too. Slow moving system, right? Because it's very disorganized. Go back to the United States with 500 millibars. And take a look here. Woof woof. I mean, you take a look at how deep in digging that trough is, and it's just this has nothing to do with me looking at like snowfall maps. I wasn't even really looking at the snowfall maps, to be honest. I just really see the posts on Twitter, to be honest. I'm not looking at the snowfall maps to make these. I'm looking at the fact this is what we have here. Deep digging 500 millibar trough. Here's your upper level low here. It's a little disorganized, but it's mid-level driven. You know what this reminds me of is February 1st, 2021. This is what it reminds me of. And I'll say why. In the similar, obviously it's April. It's not, obviously we're not talking about in like 2 to 3 feet of snow like showing up here like February 1st did. But it's like a disorganized 500 millibar system. You know what? I'll show you why. I did a reanalysis on that storm that you can find on my YouTube. Anybody wouldn't mind putting it in the chat, that would be, it's okay if you don't have. Can NYC see some flakes? Emphasis on can. Could see some sleet and snow mix in. Yes, in NYC. I would keep an eye on it. If you're going to be staying up anyways, I would keep an eye on it. Search. Reanalysis. There we go. Let me open this bad boy up. We're not talking about those kind of snowfall totals, but if anybody doesn't mind linking this, I mean, I guess I could link it in my chat. I will try. But take a look. Obviously, it's a little bit more well put together. I can't use my pen tool like that. It's a little bit more well put together, but you see you see a little bit of similarity, right? Look at this big western trough in this, like kind of narrow but deep digging 500 millibar signature. but it's disorganized, right? It's not perfect. Look at the 500 millibar. You see how the head of the upper level low is kind of disorganized? And this is where, the more storms you forecast, you start gaining, past history of certain events. And take a look. This is what it kind. This is why it kind of reminds me of it. It's a deep digging, 500 millibar vort signature, but disorganized 500 millibar vort. Still, so that's why I was leaning towards it. Kind of wait since it's not bombing out in 500, 700, 850 are doing a complete. Uh, they're closing off on top of each other and stalling. Uh, very strong. It's still very disorganized. And so it's going to be mid-level driven, and that was the case for this one as well. Let's see, do I have 700 millibars as well? Maybe I believe I do. This is back. There we go. There we go. I'll take off the pen tool for a second so you can see what I'm looking at here. But you see how it's mid-level driven. This is, I believe, 700 millibars. Yes, it is. This is 700 millibars, and this person's GIF is zooming through. But I mean, you see how the 700 millibar signature is very well put together, and it's off of like the main closed off here at 700. That's what it reminds me of too. Again, it's not the same system at all. It's April, obviously, as well. But you take a look here, you zoom in, take a look at that 700 millibar coming together. Not to the same. It's not the same beast. So that's. But again, it's April, and you have such a deep digging. Um, jet stream. So that moisture transport, again, this energy still coming around the trough here. You have this deep dig and this deep moisture transport with solid cold air in place. Take a look at the anomalies relative to usual for April. Upper air, 850. I was hoping for anomalies. We'll use the euro for anomalies. Take a look at the 850 anomalies, right? It's that drive. Oh, sorry, I got to zoom out a little bit so you can see it clearer. Right, there's your big western ridge. So you're torching out here. I don't like that word, honestly, but just because of the uh, stigma around that word. But deep digging, cold, very cold, below average, colder air moving through on the other side. Above average warm air for April. Remember, it's April. All of this is above average temperatures at 850 here, and then that's your thermal clash. And remember, it's happening towards nighttime, so relative to the usual temperature at this hour for April 12th. And that's where the magic happens. Just changed over to snow at 700 feet lower Hudson Valley. Clap it up from my man Zachary. That a boy Zachary. Do you prefer Zach maybe as well? Maybe not. I don't think I'm not sure if I've seen you before, but welcome to the channel, Zach or Zachary. I appreciate you. And let me try to link this here for y'all so you can take a look if you want to see more, get a closer look of what I'm talking about. So I'll open up my my chat here and put this in for y'all. If the chat never shows up, there we go. And you can see up um, in there. Okay. All right, but you see, just I mean, it's such an impressive thermal clash here. I mean, take a look at that again. We'll go to the actual 850s now. We'll go back to HRRR. 850, 850, and take a look. Up, new HRR is loading. Boom, and take it now. This is what is fascinating. This is dynamic cooling. It's the model's actually picking up on it, which is kind of impressive. You see how here it's -1, but here it's -3 at 850, -4 here. This is heavier precip in dynamic cooling, literally cooling the column. That's why it's called dynamic cooling. This strip here of temperature, and you can identify where the heaviest snow is going on, where the heaviest precip is. Take a look. As 700 millibar starts consolidating, take a look what happens. There at 850 as well. Fascinating. Excuse me. Need another sip. But fascinating to watch unfold. That's why I love meteorology and weather. Just absolutely fascinating for me. So you're 700 feet. I'm like 560, 570 feet roughly. I think somewhere around there. Somewhere around 550 to 575 feet. Somewhere around there roughly. But let's take a look at radar. Let's pull it up. And zoom in. Wow, that looks like a classic nor'easter kind of. You can see it getting going. Take a look at all this heavier precip offshore. That's gonna come off here. You can kind of see the tea leaves here kind of setting up already in this area. You can kind of see the tea leaves setting up for maybe where 700 millibars is gonna want to where it's gonna want to go. So I'd be looking at this area. I wouldn't even rule out some flakes flying here into eastern PA, into northwest Jersey, into western Jersey. I wouldn't rule it out. Some flakes falling, not necessarily right now specifically, maybe, but over the next few hours potentially. I would keep a close eye potentially on that. This is closer to where your 700 millibar low is here, a little bit more tucked closer, but all of this is coming together here. All this juiciness is coming together here offshore, and this is where we're going to see it take place. So I'll have to take a look. It was sleeting when right before I started the stream. I put the board out, um, put the board down. Well, start getting those sleet accumulations, baby. Yeah, does count. Always remember, if you're sleeting, you're snowing for accumulation. Put it on a t-shirt. But you can see it's not right. Models aren't BSing you. It's here's the magic. All this juice is happening. This is where it's happening. And this popcorn convective activity getting going out here too. Always a positive sign for what's about to happen here. So listen, I might look like an idiot. I could be wrong. A lot of it, I'm going off models a little bit more, but I'm trying to go off what the models are giving me. Remember, the models are tools, and I got to make a forecast off of that. Um, Maybe pay attention. I could have earlier on to what going on in the overall pattern, but listen, I'm looking at the setup. I'm trying to give you the best I can, and these are my thoughts. So, Bobby, to answer your question, Manchester's a tough call, but roughly around this map, I feel hopefully this is the best way I can kind of sum it up. You could boom, you could really boom and see like 5 or 6 plus inches. It's not theoretically impossible, but 1 to 3 with a 3 to 6 floor is more of a safer bet, bro. It's probably more of a safer bet. If I had to guess. I could be wrong. But these are my current thoughts. So yeah. get a chance to pull out the Photoshop again and take a look. Again, this is including last night. So I'm gonna, for me, it's just part of the same system. So I'm going to include it. In my opinion, I think it's part of the same system. Some people can debate semantics if I want. It's just how I'm going to do it in my snow records, for me personally. So this does include last night. So a lot of places in here we saw like 1 to 3 inches of snow, or coating to 2, and 2 to 3 inches in the higher elevations. That was what happened last night. There I look at the replies. Ooh, it's got to be some fun in there if I had to guess. But again, take a look at some of these soundings I was pulling from earlier. I mean, just very impressive. Just juicy. These are classic heavy snow soundings, man. Classic. All right, we can take a peek at that. Let's take a look at 700 millibar vort here. Appreciate it. I'll be pumped to see 1+ inches of snow. I hope you get 1+. It's like more and more disorganized at 700, or a little bit more organized actually towards the main part. See this a little bit further southeast, getting delayed a little bit. But once this comes together, so this being a little bit more delayed, probably why you saw these 850 temps not as are a little bit warmer here, because dynamic cooling can't be as prevalent if you don't have the heavier precip that's quite arriving quite yet. So if you want to really over analyze the HRR, this is how you do it. But doesn't look quite as put together. Wait, let me look at the full picture first. It's irrelevant. So I'm just trying to do some run around analysis. Here, you want to look at the snow map for the last one? I'll give you guys some cookies. There's your cookies. Look at that. Run max 16.1. There's your fun. Kachera too. Kachera will probably. I don't really like positive, especially overnight with uh the soundings. Positive snow depth maps really do not take into account, in my opinion, for lifting the dendritic growth zone well enough. So I don't really like positive snow depth maps. Maybe in certain contexts, but not for this one, in my opinion, at least. That's just my take for me forecasting. But you see, right? It's not typical. You see this kind of look in April, and Maine is not getting northern Maine is not getting the snowfall. It's unusual. Right? Who would have thought the HR is going to output more in the West Philly in the West Philly suburbs than Maine? It's just comical, very funny. How weather works. ready. Yeah, a little bit later. Not quite as organized as the last few runs here. See that? I was right originally. Taking more and more time to come together. Look at that. I was picking it up. It took me a little bit, but at least I went and picked up on last night. So that's why the threat map I wasn't including it as further west. That's why I had what I had. What I had. A little bit of an alliteration there. But now you can notice it too. See how it's not quite as cool at 850 because it's a little bit and it's not quite as organized yet here in this area. But if I had to guess, that's probably still dumping heavy snow. Oh, is that the last run? That's the last run, I think. Let's get the new one. Yeah, I mean, this is still dumping. Oh, just flat out dumping. And then here's the other area of 700 millibar vort we're looking at as well. You see that? So these are your two areas, right? Maybe a little bit of a double maxima depending on where it happens. And that's why I didn't want my map to get misconstrued, where people were thinking that this is what I didn't want to happen on my map. And this is why I didn't make it I didn't make it a snowfall map. Because I didn't want people to think like this whole area is going to see 5+ inches of snow, for example. I didn't want that. Just wanted to say this was the best chance for 5+ inches of snow, in my opinion. If there's going to be 5+, this is the best area. And I know that's a little bit of a cop out. I will admit myself, but I'm not going to do you guys an injustice and give you. I'm going to give you guys the forecast you deserve. I'm not going to try to, you know, uh, given I've only been really following the system for 2 days, I will not sugarcoat it. I'm not paying attention too closely to models except for severe weather before that. So I was kind of in severe weather mode, kind of ready to transition. And then just like that, we're back into winter weather mode. There we go. Now we see that dynamic cooling coming together a little bit more. And there's your 700 millibar magic then. There it is. See the difference? Now, and if this were the case, if we were to split these two more, this would give areas into here a better chance, excuse me, to see some snow. So I get my other drink. I was prepared. So I'd keep an eye on that. I had someone ask me earlier, does DC see snow? Maybe one single flake mixes in if you're very, very lucky. that's the best I can give you there. But yeah, this is how you would see flakes in this area. So I wouldn't rule out some flakes down into here. But let me take a, yeah, juicy, juicy out there in the Hudson Valley, PA, New York border. Love to see it. Nice and juicy. Nice and juicy. Love to see it. Northeast Connecticut. Oh, not as impressive as I thought it would be. Oof. See, this is where it gets so. See now, this is where I would say this would maybe be heavy snow with some sleet mixing in possibility. And here's why I would say that. Because take a look at your warm nose. Now, the margins are so close that I would say this could be just all heavy snow. So this is northern Rhode Island. I took this sounding from northeast northern Rhode Island, southeast Mass border. Very much strong lift present throughout the dendritic growth zone and throughout a lot of the column where you need it. But it's how long that warm nose is right here. You see it, it's for a while, so probably some sleet flake pellets mixing in just somewhere along that area. So that is where it could be some heavy snow to sleet mixing in. Matt says moderate to heavy snow now near Worcester Airport. All right, you're convincing me I need to get out, Matt, maybe soon. But the best of the best is coming, so I'm not too worried. Plus, I love streaming, guys. I really love breaking this stuff down. So I took the sounding here. Let's go to, yeah, this is probably more sleet just because of how long the warm nose is. But probably some snow mixing in. There's probably some flakes still mixing in even on the sounding. But man, those are thin margins. I mean, it's a real thin margin. That's got to be a less than a half a degree Celsius there. Maybe one, I can't, that's less than a degree probably Celsius. Your margins. Southeast Mass. Oh, I would lean this as being heavy snow. Few sleet pellets mixing in, but look how strong. I mean, such strong lift here, such heavy precip, very well saturated again. And again, your dendritic growth zone is like 500 millibars here, and this is Southeast Mass. So I would keep an eye on that too. I would keep a close eye. Remember, when I made this is the best chance. I didn't, so right, I listed kind of this area here as the best, the best chance. But that doesn't mean areas into here still can't get some accumulating snow as well. You can't roll up maybe a coating to 2+ inches, and if you really boom, then maybe we're talking like we are in these areas. It's a real boom bust scenario potentially, especially with such thin margins between sleet and snow potentially for some people. But I pulled that sounding out of like Brockton almost, so like just impressive. There's by my house. Look at that. Heavy snow sounding. Love to see it. Oh, oh, jackpot. Oh, such a beautiful sounding. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day. You love to see it. What do you think about Northeast New Jersey, Bergen County? Do you have elevation, John? More so just because I want to get a feel for where more specifically you are. But it's a tough call. It's a tough call. I would lean more sleet. just because of how close to the 700 millibar low you are going to be, I would lean more sleet accumulation than snow, but it would not take a lot. Listen, it would not. It would not take a lot. Let's take a sounding here. Oh, that's all snow. That's all snow. If this is right, that'd be all snow. Now, maybe with this warm nose here, maybe there's not as much lift here. New York, New Jersey border. Perfect. Thank you for that. So let's take a sounding there. Okay. Let's take a sounding. Let me get my New Jersey refresher again. See, it bugs me when I don't remember counties. You can blame the concussion. Okay, there we go. See, I would say that's all snow. I would say that's all snow. That sounding there. Let's take another one. I would lean with that being all snow as well. So I would say it's probably going to be a messy night though. Uh, Northeast Jersey, it's going to be a pretty messy night. Might go back to snow and sleet and possibly even rain at times mixing in, but probably messy. Probably coating. I would say coating to 2 is possible um, for Northeast Jersey. That's where I would kind of lean. Your boom scenario would be like more of a 2 to 4. There's a 2 to 4, 2 to 5 would be your boom scenario. But I think coating to 2 is a decent bet. And remember, sleet accumulation counts, so measure it if you care. It's fine if you don't. But if you're someone that measures your seasonal snowfall total, make sure that you include sleet as well. Unless you do it differently, then that's all up to you. But by all means, this is this sleet. No, oh, interesting. Leaving the warm house to refuse, halters back on. Are you work for a salt truck or plowing or what? Or are you just salting the salt? That's an impressive sound there. Out in Western Mass, it's a real good sounding. But I would lean that there will be some trouble probably during the day. Tomorrow will not be the best time for accumulating snow. So once we start getting towards 11, 12, 1 p.m., it will be a little challenging if you're not all out heavy snow plowing and salting. Yeah. Given the sleet and some snow mixing in, I would say that Northeast, there's going to be some to do. Yeah, but but the best of the best for snow accumulation, I think, will be just a little bit further northwest, and that was because take a look again at 700 millibars. If we go back here, take a look where this is happening. The best of the best, 700 millibars, is happening out here. So this is where I would bet on it being more prevalent. Some of those more impactful snowfall totals. I would say right in here, kind of. You're on deathband watch tonight. Also on deathband watch tonight. And down into here as well. This whole area is on deathband watch. Official Brady BGWX a deathband watch. Yes, of course. I'm not sure if you're contracted for a specific area potentially, or instructed for a specific area, John. So tough to say exactly, um, or if you decide where you go. So, but there's the best I can. So I would expect it's going to be messy. The sleet. It's snowing actively in White Lake, New York, right now. Okay, I assume that's southern Hudson Valley, close to the Jersey border. Oh, so on cam. Oh, you're looking at cam. Okay. But yes, so this is it's just going to be messy and a lot of North Jersey, Northeast Jersey tonight. But man, that's a juicy 700 millibar look right there. Woo. Listen, I don't care what time of the year it is. If I see this over me, don't take too much to get me excited. I'm all for it. Let's see, let's get a Eastern Connecticut further closer to Mohegan. Yeah, that's probably more sleet. That might be rain even, honestly. I don't know if your warm tongue comes back for long enough. Yeah, but again, your margins are so close. It's tough. Maybe a couple flakes mixing in, but more sleet and some rain. Just a mess, absolute mess. But again, now we look at here. This is that might be all snow. I mean, your margins here for dynamic cooling. Think about it. Even though it's a longer duration here, if you're cooling the column and it's say just a degree Celsius, like a degree Celsius colder because of dynamic cooling, this is 100% snow and sleet is not even mixing in. Barely, if at all. Yeah, of course, John. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. If you don't mind leaving a like, that would be greatly appreciated. And anybody else in here too. It would be greatly appreciated. We're trying to keep growing the channel here. Obviously, we're transitioning into severe weather season. So I know we don't have our core is that severe weather, obviously, but if you guys don't mind tuning into those videos as well, they're appreciated. And we're going to try to do some streams for severe weather as well. But uh, going back to tonight, it's very messy because your margins are thin for some places. Again, this is your 0 degree line, and dynamic cooling brings that cold air from the upper levels with the heavier precip down with it. So it cools the column. And if you're just a degree Celsius colder, you are going to be all out heavy snow versus sleet. Huge difference. So some people that we're talking about, some people here, I'm telling you, these people need to be watching very closely tonight. Especially up here in Boston. There are some people here that are not forecasted. You look at your this is not dirt at anybody. It's just these people here not forecasted to see barely anything, and they might actually end up seeing moderate to heavy snow potentially. And you just got to keep a close eye. Now, maybe this 700 millibar, starts developing a little bit further west. Maybe HR is underestimating how far west and as strong it's going to be, but all indications so far have been throughout throughout the past of the winter is usually things have been developing a little bit later than what models have shown. Just come together. The timing is a little bit more messy than what it's shown, and you can see the HRR every run now starting to show that. And it takes a lot of work to do the real time analysis, so I'm not going to do that on stream, even though that would be more helpful and insightful. But you take a look here at 700 millibar vort here. Take a look at the difference. Go from, like this run. See how far in there's well put together 700 millibar is. Further west it is. And now take a look each run. That's from 02Z, 03, 04, 05. See that? Heavy snow in western Long Island, coating on the grass 1 inch per hour rates. Excuse me, are you kidding me? You serious? Yeah, you're not messing with me, Pudgy? Does that really happen? I'm gonna take a look at MPIG. MPIG. Also, I'm gonna look at the correlation coefficient on radar. Correlation coefficient looks pretty solid right now for mass. Maybe, maybe it's possible. We do have some heavy precip work in western Long Island right now, but it is pretty patchy. Is it really? I'm local storm reports. Oh, MPIG. That's what I want. I'm not seeing too much. Wait. Mixed rain and ice, 2:14 a.m. by Stanford. That's the closest I can get. That's the closest I can see there. But if you are, that's pretty awesome. Still rain in northeast New Jersey right now. Yes. Won't be surprised if you remain that way for a lot of the night, drone. But might get a chance for some sleet and snow to mix in, especially sleet. I would say there's a good shot you get some sleet to mix in. If not become predominant at one point. So I would keep an eye on that. I'd keep an eye on that, John. Take a look. Radar going right now. Let's go. Does it give me? It does not give me correlation coefficient. But take a look. Heavy snow band setting up right now here. And this is the main batch. And already it's cold enough to snow in these areas. I think really it's like the rain snow line really kind of like this right now. So it's like these areas here, likely a lot of moderate, or I already saw I had my man Matt in the X chat give me a heavy snow report, moderate to heavy snow report by the Worcester Airport. I'm in Maryland, so just boring rain for me. Well, I apologize, Michael, but it's out of my control. I do my best for you, though. Maybe I will send my best wishes that you see one flake. This is the Long Island radar. Let's see. This is where it's setting up. I think this is where the tea leaves are showing where 700 millibar is setting up here. This is where the juiciest is going to be. Usually, here's what I tend to notice. This is more of I'm not sure, there might be more research behind this, but this is what I've tend to notice in past years. When looking for where the deformation band is going to set up, usually initially you have a band that kind of gets out ahead already, then like almost the beginning parts of the deformation band, and like usually this edge here is usually like uh yeah, basically like a wall almost for this to run into, and then it kind of contracts. So usually just to the south or east of this area is usually where you look for that deformation band to set up. So I think the tea leaves are starting. We can look at SPC a meso-analysis as well. But yeah, this is where kind of like you see this forming here. So this is pushing in here. So I mean, I'm looking at this area here. This is where I'd be looking. Now, maybe it's a little bit further north and west, a little bit roughly, but maybe a rough idea. Let me go. Let me go look at the SPC meso-analysis. You can see it setting up here already. So I'd be looking at this area right here. You can kind of see it start a little bit here in this area as well. There's the main batch of precip setting up. So this is where I'd be looking. Along and just to the northwest of this 700 millibar area. That's likely the area I'd be looking at right here for the heaviest of the snow to set up. Here's 850 to 700 millibar. That kind of lines up. I like this area here. Just along into the northwest. It's always a good bet to look. But let's see. Is this still moving further northwest? Let me take a look. Really starting to come together. Let me go to 700. Upper air, 700 millibar. Front the Genesis. Definitely starting to strengthen. Take a look. Those last few frames at the bottom of the screen here, especially here. See it coming together? Real strengthening. We've passed a couple hours now, especially over this area. So if I go back to radar, As I zoom in here, you can start to see it come together right along that 700 millibar FGen area. So I mean, this area right here. And this is going to extend up likely into here as well. Fascinating system here. You gotta love your April snowstorms, don't you? Just fun, 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 fun stuff. I mean, man, that's such close. Your margins are so close, so close. Some people could really wake up surprised tomorrow morning. I'm telling you, could really, really wake up surprised. And again, this has nothing to do with elevation here on this sounding. Look at where your warm nose is. Your warm nose is up here, from 750 to 850. It's not at the surface. That has not your warm nose is not the reason. Your elevation is not the reason. Sorry, that you're not seeing snow or not. This is not an elevation dependent event, whether or not you see snow. So like the people that just go in and automatically like do this with their snow maps, like it's just this. That's not. It's for this setup. If you're looking at the what's closely happening, it's not the way to forecast the system. It's not, because it's not like it's just a regular April snow. Uh, Last night is a different case. I'll show you last night. I can go back in time. I'm a time traveler. Let's take a look here. Let's go back in time. What was happening last night? The overrunning precip. You see the difference here? You don't have a warm nose going up here. You have a constant temperature that's getting warmer and warmer and warmer towards the surface. Now it's holding pretty steady still, so it's not like, but it's getting steadily warmer and warmer and warmer from 700 millibars, dropping a little bit more. More elevation here, you have a better chance to stay colder. Let me go back to, so let me pull up a, like a Berkshire sounding. You see that here? So you see the difference? How you're higher up in the atmosphere? Like there's a ton of elevation here in this. Probably at least 1,000 to 1,500 feet of elevation here. So you see the difference in your temperature at 30, and it's going to stay below that. That's the difference between how old am I? I'm like fantastically old. So old you won't believe it. I don't know. I'm old. I was old enough to witness the Red Sox win the 2004 World Series. I feel like that's enough. That's enough information. But I like to keep my information close to the cards, at least for now. Maybe I'll change one day, but for now, just guys, like social media gets like so just kind of evil a lot now. So a lot of people like to, go find out who you are, what you do, and they just like people try to attack who you are. So the more I can kind of separate that, and while still giving you guys the content, um, that's how I like to do it. But thank you for taking interest, Pudgy. I appreciate it. But here's the difference I was showing you last night. Let's do another example. Southern Vermont. Lots of elevation here. Take a look. 28, 29 degrees here. No opportunity. If you're here at the surface more, this is going to keep kind of going. And maybe you're 32, 33 if you're like 300 feet elevation. But since here, this is like 1,500, 2,000 plus feet in elevation now. And see, now you're getting close to almost 900 millibars in the atmosphere. 950, maybe 930, 925, right around here. So higher ratios, more snow. That is when you're talking about more elevation dependent. Now take a look at the difference for tonight. Safer that way. I appreciate it, Michael. Let's take a look at tonight, and let's go to a low elevation area. Let's go to Southeast Mass. I'm going to use, just to make my point, well, we can still stick to Southeast Mass. Take a look. Look where your warm nose is here at the surface. You see your temperature comes back at 925 actually. And it comes back down at the surface, but it does, excuse me, it does the same thing for, so you maybe have a little bit improved ratios with higher elevation because it does come back a little at the surface. At the very surface, though, at the very bottom. But your warm nose is here. Right, from like 7 to 850 millibars. Mainly 750 to 850 is the strongest of your warm nose. So now you see that that's a low elevation spot. That's like southeastern Mass. Now let's go to a high elevation spot. Let's go back to southern Vermont where we know there's going to be elevation. And take a look, 29 at the surface. So yes, you are going to have slightly better ratios, especially over 2,000 feet of elevation. You're just going to. But take a look, you still have that same warm nose here at 700 to 850 millibars. That's not the deciding factor. And take a look here, there's not as much lift present in the dendritic growth zone as well. So probably snowing heavier in southeastern Mass than southern Vermont, likely. Go to like western Mass, high elevation. Same thing, it's a higher elevation, but look. What was it, 31 to 33, what was it, 33 or 33 degrees, I think, maybe, here in southeastern Mass, maybe 34. Take a look, 31, right? 2 to 3 degree difference at the surface. And not a ton of lift here in the dendritic growth zone either, and you still have that same warm nose. Not quite as much from around 700 millibars, but still that 850 warm nose still very much prevalent. So that's my point I'm trying to make with this is a lot of people are skeptical of how this is turning out, but we're seeing it in real time now. It's starting to take place. You just got to take my word until... Listen, I've been wrong plenty of times, maybe, but listen, this is, I'm confident in this aspect of the forecast. If I wasn't, I wouldn't be trying to go out on a limb this much. But I do think a lot of people are going to wake up potentially surprised, and if you love snow, maybe in a good way. Again, where am I closely watching? This right here, and maybe a little bit further south. This right here is my area of interest right now. I am very closely watching this area. This area right here, I'm very, very closely watching. It's boom or bust. It very much could be boom or bust. Your margins could be very slim. Maybe you go to heavy snow for like an hour and you flip back. Possibly. It's a tricky forecast. There's no possible way to predict dynamic cooling until it's happening in real time. Like the exact margins of exactly. See how close those margins are? I mean, take a look. And just look how close these I mean, this is like less, maybe like a half a degree, maybe even, is your warm nose right here. Look at that, -6 omega too. Incredible. So it's very slim margins, and I'm always going to lean on the side of dynamic cooling because it tends to work out. The column tends to cool more times than not in these scenarios. What other questions do we have? Because I do want to go enjoy the snow soon. I'm pretty sure I'm snowing right now, so would like to go check out. And oh, you can see it happening. Take a look on radar. This is beautiful. Look, 700 millibar. This is a gorgeous radar view. What's going on here at 700 millibars? Take a look. A big old deformation band. Big old deformation band setting up here. Now might be a little bit more discombobulated, but man, look what is happening. All this coming offshore here. It's pretty classic, guys. It's pretty classic. I think this thing's gonna pan out pretty well. The fact a lot of these places are already snowing before the heaviest of the heaviest comes in too, to me that is a really positive sign as well, that I think it's going to work out pretty well, assuming you want snow. I'll play the loop. Gorgeous, gorgeous radar loop here. I know some people are. I already know what you're thinking. Man, if it was January, I know. I wish it was too, but it's not. We can't change that. It's April. Deal with it. We can't change the past. I'm sorry. Sorry, not sorry. We can't change the past unless you can make a real life Doc and Marty for or whatever for Back to the Future. Unless you can have Back to the Future become real, we're living in April 12th, ladies and gentlemen. Except this is happening now instead of wishing for something that's never going to happen. Could have happened. We can't change that. Also, that's what more like high achieving people also. Well, you want, not that I'm anything crazy special, but they're always focused on what's happening now, what's happening in the present, and what I got going forward. You can't change what happened in the past. You just got to focus on what's happening right now. So the best you can do is enjoy what you may or may not get from this, and appreciate that it's happening now instead of looking at it like, man, if it was February, it's not February. I'm sorry. There's nothing we can do about that now. Enjoy the April magic. Enjoy the April fun. But yeah, this is a gorgeous radar loop here. You can see it. Look at this. Popcorn convection popping here. Look at this. Offshore. It's picking up way offshore. All this is coming, baby. Some people could wake up real surprised in this area, man. Real surprised. I'm going to keep a close eye on there tonight. Actually, I'm going to look at the MPing ports again. We got an all snow report between and Meridian, sorry, Connecticut. That was from 2 a.m., but a little suspicious given sleet reports to the north still and rain. But all snow report 2:50 a.m. in Longmeadow, Mass, as well. By the way, which is something about right here. All snow report also snow accumulating on the grass in Lincoln, Mass, by Concord and Lexington. So up here in Eastern Mass, we have all snow report as well. Oh, hope you're making some noises. We have all snow also going on further northeast, Lawrence, further northeast. Hey, don't do that. Don't eat your foot. That's not good for you. Fitchburg all snow as well. All snow. Listen to this report. We have an all snow report out of Mount Olive or in Stanhope by Bud Lake in New Jersey. So this is interesting. Let's zoom in here. Heavy snow ongoing currently. It looks like. So a chance you may hear some doggy noises in a second. Out of my control now. And there he goes. He falls off the couch. So yeah, in this heavier snow band here, so North Jersey in here seems like we have some possible heavy snow, some likely heavy snow if it's snowing. Reports going on here. Hey, Tatum, we're live streaming here. Not that you care. King, Monroe, New York, Walton Park. Also, we have. Yeah, I know. It's exciting. We got snow going on. I know, Tatum. Hey, hey, it's exciting. I know we got snow going on, but let's keep it down for the crowd here, okay? Thank you. Yeah, this band setting up here is impressive. Well, around here too, we got all snow as well. So I'm assuming a lot of this area, northwest Jersey, northern Jersey, is all snow right now. If I had to take a shot here, based on the reports coming in, don't lick that, Tatum. Don't lick that. That's disturbing. I'd have to take a shot here and say a lot of this right now is all snow. Under those heavier bands, this is all snow. So that's what we got going on right now. Tatum MVP, yes. I agree, Bobby. He was named after a Boston sports legend, so it's letting his appearance be known on stream early on here. Second ever stream he's been a part of, and it's making his presence known. Again, don't bite your foot. That's not good for you. You don't understand what I'm saying, but don't bite your foot. Hey, don't bite your foot. That's not good for you. That can't possibly be good for you. It's not food. Oh my god. If you had a puppy, you know. Puppies are the cutest they will ever be, but man, they're the most work they will ever be as well. Here's the magic. It's forming here. Take a look. You can see it popping on radar. All this magic. All of this magic, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. Are you ready? Let's get ready to. Oh, we gotta. Hey, don't bite your foot. Hey, that's your foot, right? Hey, you're sticking your whole foot in your mouth. That can't be. How does that not hurt? I really just want the short clip. Here we go. I know all of that. You definitely know that. Let's do it. We're ready, Snow. We are ready. All right, everybody. Great stream tonight. I need to now go enjoy the snow that's about to happen. Um, I appreciate this is where the fun happens or the disappointment. We will find out. I think it's going to work out pretty well. It already is. Seems like for a lot of places. I think some people are going to be surprised when they wake up. I wouldn't even rule out again. Here's my snow map. I think this is the best chance for 5 plus, best chance for 3 plus, and I would even extend this. Right, I put 3 plus. It's like faded kind of. I put it like into here. So I would maybe even extend this even a little bit further south, maybe a little bit. You can't rule out some higher totals, but I would say uh, even some double digits cannot be ruled out, especially places that line up with higher. It's like Worcester Hills, maybe. Some places in the Berkshires that get into the band, some higher elevations in the Hudson Valley, and maybe Poconos. We'll see about that, and High Point as well, somewhere like that. That gets into the best of the bands. Highest elevations that get into the best banding, that's where the potential for close to, if not exceed double digit snowfall totals. Again, this is my area of really more here. This is my area of high alert. This is the area I'm watching super closely. I'm watching this area super closely, guys. This is the boom. This is your boomer bust right here. This is your boomer bust. You may wake up and be like, why is there 4 inches of snow on the ground? Why? And you're gonna wake up, oh, there's just a dusting with some sleet and rain. So it could be it's gonna be close. We looked at why it could be a close margins or why it could be a close call because those margins are so tight. So hopefully I look like a genius. That would be wonderful. Oh, here comes Tatum. Hopefully I look like a genius, but it's okay if not. We're gonna do our best here to give you guys the best forecast I can. But regardless, I enjoy always streaming with you guys. So it was a blast tonight, and I appreciate you all. Stay tuned on Twitter and